this, telling you kind of what we're doing for the next few days. It was nice when we had that little snow break. Why is that not communicating? It was nice when we had that extra break from school. However, it put us behind. And we're having to play catch up, aren't we? You're having to play catch up in all your classes, unfortunately. Come on, catch up. It already admit Megan in. Did y'all notice? Yeah, Megan's in. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Okay. Unfortunately, it put us behind, and so we're having to go fast in our classes to catch up with what we've missed. Okay. So this week, today, we're working on major protests, which has to do with civil rights. Tomorrow, we're working on major outcomes of the civil rights movement. Wednesday, it's women's suffrage. Thursday, it's voting rights timeline. And there's going to be several times, I think 2, this week that you're writing paragraphs. Friday, you have a 10-question quiz. And we're going to go over as many of the questions that are on the unit test Friday as we can, because Monday you test out of this unit. The unit test is 26 questions, 24 pages long. It's already scanned into Cami. I don't have it posted to Canvas yet because I have a couple students on virtual platform that will take the test without learning the content first, and they'll bomb the test. And again, my grade as a teacher comes from how my students perform on the test. I need my students to learn the content before they take the test and bomb it. You guys already know the drill in my class. What happens if you guys make a D or F on my test?
Call.
No. What do you do in my classroom if you make a D or F on the test?
You retake it.
You retake it. I put the D or F in the grade book, and you retake the test, and I replace the grade when you retake it. Whichever of your 2 grades are higher is what actually at the end gets recorded and stays in the grade book. Got it? Your third 9 weeks grade is what's already in the grade book right now. Okay? The assignments that we did Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday before break, I've not graded yet. The assignments you did Monday, Tuesday, those went in the third 9 weeks grades. This week, we're doing social studies every day. Monday, we're testing out of unit 3. And then Tuesday, we start science. And we've got to go through our days as quickly as we can so we can get as much content as possible. Because counting today, we have 5 weeks. Wake up, Aaliyah. Counting today, we have 5 weeks until we start retesting. Okay, that's it. And that includes the days that we're getting out for Easter. Okay, we get out, you see the 31st of March? We go to school the 1st of April, which is a Thursday. Look on the calendar back there in the back. It's over there beside the Saturn. Okay, Saturn's the one that's blue with a ring around it. So we go to school April 1st. April 2nd is Good Friday. Okay, it's a religious holiday. We get out the 2nd. Then that Sunday, which is the 4th, is Easter, actual Easter day. 5th is Monday after Easter. We're out of school the 5th. So we're out the 2nd and the 5th. We come back to school the 6th. So counting that Friday and that Monday, we have 5 weeks until we start testing. LEAP testing this year is 2 weeks. It's not 1 week. You test the last week of April for ELA and math, and you test the first week of May for science and social studies. The following week, 5th grade test. We can't have live Zoom then. I've got to ask Ms. Sparks how we're going to do it, because I think we'll be in science then, but I'm not absolutely certain. And if we're in science, yes, I'm teaching, but it depends on you guys responding to me, because it's a back and forth of science, isn't it? It's not just me teaching to you guys, right? So it's going to have to be me recording us working together. It's just I can't have live Zoom with my kiddos online. So I'll have to record us working together and doing things, and then post it after school. I think is how it's going to have to go. But I've got to talk to Ms. Sparks. We're not allowed to record any live Zooms while anybody in the school is testing. So I know the week after we do our science or study sleeps, I can't do any live Zooms. So I'm thinking I'll have to record and then post them after school every day. So I can't even post them during my RTI time because other students will be testing during the day. Okay, so I'm just giving you a heads up. We have the next 5 weeks of teaching, and after that, we start testing. We do it for 2 weeks, and then 5th grade test, and I think 6th grade test at the same time, and then 7th grade and 8th grade start testing. Okay, so when I say testing cycle, that's what we start testing, and then we test again the next week, and then 5th grade and 6th grade tests, 7th grade and 8th grade tests. That's what I mean by testing cycle. It's essentially 4 weeks of testing, not just us though, but it affects what we can use in terms of our technology. All right, I'm going to guess they're going to tell us we can't be on our technology during that time. Just a wild guess, because remember how they had us all get on technology at one time? And it was to see if we could pull down the internet? Yeah, well, we did. So we're not going to be on technology, I'm guessing is what they're going to say. Right now they're saying no live Zoom, but I'm guessing they're going to say no Canvas either, but that's just my guess right now. As we get closer, I'm sure they're going to put more stipulations on us. All right. So I can tell you in math, you're going through a whole lot of lessons this week in math. Like 30 lessons, if I'm not mistaken, this week in math. Yeah. So Mr. Mitas and I have a message for you. Buckle up. There's going to be a lot of stuff this week. All right. So you got to stay awake, alert, and ready to fly. All right. We're all ready for you. You guys sit up, Michaela. First things first. If you have a pink potty pass, I need it. You're going to trade that in, and I'm going to give you an Eagle Buck for it. And I'm going to give you a new one this week to train. I don't need the big one, I just need the little one. Just need the little one, guys. I'm not going to give you the Eagle Buck right now. When you guys sit down to do your work, just bring it back here and put it right here, okay? When you guys sit down to do your work is when I'm going to start writing them. The big one you keep. Okay. Go sit. Leah, your new one. Allie, your new one. Bryson, new one. Hunter. Vicente. Guyuna's not here. Joanna. Kayla. Kaylee. Timber. I'm having a fault in my memory. What's your last name again, dear? Winstead. The one I joked that needs to be a hotel chain. There you go. Hey, error. Sorry, I got your hand. Oh. Logan. Kayla. I did. Melanie. Maya. Ricardo. Glasses done. And oh, all right. That is odd. Let's see. Oh no, it switched. Okay. Google. Slides. All right, so we're going to go down to Monday, March 22nd, major protest worksheet, guys, okay? Whoever's doing talking needs to stop. Before we went out to break, we did equal under the law, right? You guys start working, I'll do your Eagle Bucks, okay? And I've got to email Miss Anderson to get more Eagle Bucks for you guys. All right, so we're going to click on major protest worksheet so you can see what you're going to be filling in. And so you're not the only one that has to sign in to Google. Deville. Okay, so you're going to have a purpose and an importance. Okay, make sure you put your correct things in each box. Okay, everybody see these three? Okay, so we're going to go to next, and hopefully it takes us to the right place. Yes, we have next back, at least for now. Not sure when it'll go away, but for now we have it. Okay, is everybody on this page, Montgomery Bus Boycott? Everybody there? I see Allie's still trying to log in. Yours is faster than mine. Congratulations. I'm happy that Cammy is working like it's supposed to today, because last night he was being weird. Everybody there on the article? Actually, if you want to be on the page, the worksheet, so that you can fill in the worksheet while I'm on this page, that's fine. That might be a good use of your time. Doesn't matter to me, however you want to use your time. You can handwrite it on your page or you can submit it on Cammy. Either way. Everybody hear me? All right. In 1955, African Americans were still required by a Montgomery, Alabama city ordinance to sit in the back half of city buses and to yield their seats to white riders if the front half of the bus reserved for whites was full. Okay. Before we went out to break, we read several books. I don't know if it was this class that I read and we discussed books about the busing system, but the front of the bus was reserved in a lot of buses for white people. The back end of the bus was where African Americans were told to sit. And there was a middle section where either white people or black people could sit. It was an either or section. Did we talk about that? No? We did?
No.
Melanie said yes. Did anybody else remember that conversation here?
No.
We might have had that during RTI. That might be why some people remember it. Okay. Okay. So that was the case on the bus that Rosa Parks was on. She was in the middle section of the bus where either black people or white people could sit. She was not in an area where, and a lot of people don't understand this, she was not in an area where it's only white people supposed to sit. That wasn't it at all. She was on a bus where she had a different bus driver than normal because she got off work early that day. She was driving home and cook a special Christmas dinner for her husband. She was exhausted. She was a seamstress. She sewed clothes for a living. She wanted to get home. She was tired. You guys are like that after school day, right? I can tell you I'm tired after my school day. I put in all my energy working. I want to get home, especially if it's 6 o'clock when I'm getting home. I want to go home and sit for a little while because I literally hurt. Okay. I certainly don't feel like putting up with someone else's mess. And that's how she felt. She didn't feel like putting up with someone else's mess. And that's what she encountered because she was with a different bus driver than normal. She was on a different bus than she normally would be. Okay. She wasn't sitting in a whites only section. She was sitting in that mixed section. Okay. So I have that for your background. All right. Okay. So the white section was full. The black section in the back was full. She was in the middle section. Okay. On December 1st, 1955, African-American seamstress Rosa Parks was commuting home on Montgomery's Cleveland Avenue bus from her job at a local department store. She was seated in the front row of the colored section. Not really. When the white seats filled, the driver, J. Fred Blake, asked Parks and 3 others to vacate their seats. The other African-American riders complied, so the other 2 people got up and moved, but Parks refused. She was arrested and fined $10 plus $4 in court fees. Upon hearing about her arrest, a group of Black women working for civil rights began circulating flyers calling for a boycott of the bus system on December 5th. That's 4 days later. The day Parks would be tried in municipal court. The purpose of the boycott was to protest segregation on Montgomery buses. Now, do you remember us talking about the word segregate? What does segregate mean? Look, right now these are segregated based on color. This is pink, this is green. Normally when we think of segregation, we think about skin color though, okay? But you can segregate things based on all kinds of different things. I could have a stack of books and a pen. They're segregated on equality, but these are books and this is a pen. Okay, to segregate means to separate. Okay. Generally, when we talk about segregation, then we talk about skin color, okay, or race. All right. Purpose of the boycott was to protest segregation on Montgomery buses. Approximately 40,000 African-American bus riders, the majority of the city's bus riders, boycotted the system the next day, December 5th. Tell me something. If the majority of the bus riders boycott it, meaning they're not going to get on the buses, what's that going to do to the bus system?
No money.
No money. That's a really smart thing to do, isn't it? Really smart thing to do. That afternoon, Black leaders met to form the Montgomery Improvement Association, MIA, which also means missing in action. The group elected Martin Luther King Jr., the 26-year-old pastor of Montgomery's Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, as its president, and decided to continue the boycott until the city met its demands. On June 5th, 1956, a Montgomery federal court ruled that any law requiring a racially segregated seating on buses violated the 14th Amendment. What is the 14th Amendment again? Citizenship. It means everybody has equal rights. Everybody's a citizen. Everybody has equal protection under the law. So the Montgomery federal court system said segregation does not give everybody equal rights. That amendment adopted in 1868. So we're talking 90 years before. Following the U.S. Civil War, guaranteed all citizens, regardless of race, equal rights and equal protection under state and federal laws. All right, so I'm just getting my page up to this. So the Montgomery Bus Boycott, what do you think its purpose was?
protest against the separation of color on the Monday.
Yes. Yes, it was.
But
I'm trying to get my papers so I can make sure we write it as briefly as possible, because I'm always about not writing extra stuff. Okay, very good question. I think that'd be a really good word to put on our vocab word over there. Where is it? I need to go get new glasses. Boycott, purpose, segregation. Here's our answer right here. Purpose of the boycott was to protest segregation on the Montgomery buses. Y'all see it? The purpose of the boycott was to protest segregation on Montgomery buses. So write that in on that box that says purpose under the Montgomery bus boycott. That's actually a picture of Rosa Parks. I'm gonna switch mode real quick. Give me just a second so I can get Elmo to come up. Image mate. There we go. That's Rosa Parks right there. Beautiful woman. She was actually very shy. She did not want to be made into a hero. She just wanted to get home to her husband.
what is their husband?
I don't know. I have to look that up. When I was changing out the picture on the background slide, I almost put a picture of Adrian and Tamia up because we talked to them. We took them out to eat. Tamia got her new tooth. And I didn't realize how much discrimination that Adrian and Tamia run into. They said it's at least once a month people make comments to them. When she went to get her tooth in, Adrian was getting all kinds of nasty comments about them being a mixed race couple. And I'm like, it's 2021. People need to get educated. That's just sad. Completely sad. Are you writing this in? In purpose? Okay. Oh. How anybody can be hateful towards this little person, I don't get it. She's almost 2. That makes 0 sense.
My sister's smaller. Why did you think they do that?
People don't think before they say things. I mean, this little girl is like a model, doesn't she? In case y'all are wondering, that's what I'm talking about. My little Moo. That's her nickname is Moo. She likes to eat sometimes anyway. Lately she's picky. What is it?
Oh, you were talking about that.
That's Mila, my granddaughter.
I thought you said that you taking off
No, Tamia, her mom got her tooth repaired. This little hardhead knocked her mama's tooth out. Her front tooth. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. She's been without a tooth for a month. Her mama has. And her mama's very shy. We're going to get to the importance in just a minute. But that right there, how people can see that is something to be angry about, I don't understand. You know? You know? All I see is a beautiful family. Yeah, Adrian, he used to go to Tech, so did Tamia, but she's already graduated from LSUS. Adrian graduates from LSUS in May, but he attends NSU's ROTC, ROTC program. ROTC. Oh, who in here knows who Coach O is? Coach O at Orgeron. Nobody else knows other than Melanie? Really? The tall guy right beside Coach O is my son. That's Saturday. We took Mila to the zoo. That's Adrian right beside Coach O. Pretty cool, right? The reason Adrian's beside him is that Adrian's the highest ranking person within his office. He's been in the military for 30 years. Adrian's been in for 4 years. He's a quick learner though. All right, back to this one. All right. So the amendment they're quoted was the 14th Amendment. Let's get to the second page. Oop. We didn't finish that information. We didn't pull out a piece of information out of here. No, you put the trash in the hallway, right? Thank you very much. All right, so one piece of information we didn't pull out of this was that Martin Luther King was elected a leader to continue the boycott. So that was one big important thing that came out of the bus boycott. And this right here, the federal court ruled that segregation violated the 14th Amendment. Okay, so let me stop share on this and share screen on live image. Make this larger. Here we go. Nope, didn't come through the first time because that's how it always does. Where's the share screen?
Where's the share screen thing? Stop share screen. There we go. Share. Being weird. Darn it. Did it again. Okay, it's gonna actually share it the third time this time. Okay. So yes, because these are two big things. A law was passed claiming segregation to be against the law. The other way you could word this is segregation was made against the law. That's shorter, isn't it? Segregation was made against the law. And then Martin Luther King became a leader. It's against the law to segregate. It's still against the law. Most of the people who were using the bus system then were Black people. White people had their own cars. It was a very wise move to hit the busing system in the pocketbook. Very smart. What is it?
Because African Americans were the ones who wrote the book.
But it meant they had to walk for over a year. Not an easy thing to do. Think about all the mamas that had children, had to walk carrying their children. Oof. In the heat, in the snow, in the rain. Not fun. In the rain. All right, everybody have that? Who's still copying? Okay, 1 minute, guys. 1, 2. All right, stop share on this one. Share screen on this. Okay, next article. All right, zoom out. Here we go. Okay, you guys want to keep your page on the worksheet? That way you can just listen or look at the screen and you can just write in your worksheet as we go along. That's fine. Okay. Source 2, sitting for justice, Woolworth's lunch counter. Kind of think this one's interesting because this deals with Louisiana. Okay. Sitting for justice, Woolworth's lunch counter. Anybody ever heard of Woolworth? Y'all know what that is? Do you know what it is, Melanie? It's kind of like not quite like Target. I guess it'd be more like JCPenney. Kind of like a mid-price department store, but they also had like a, I guess it'd be like a Sonic inside it because it had an ice cream bar inside it. Yeah, I know. You go in there and you could order up milkshakes and malts, which Sonic has the best sausage. I guess it's like Sonic. And you could also get hamburgers and French fries. So it'd be like JCPenney because you could buy bedding and towels and clothes and like housewares as well as clothes and appliances. And then you could also get food. No, a lot nicer than Walmart. A whole lot nicer, like higher price. Like JCPenney used to be, not quite as expensive as Dillard's. Okay. So it was kind of upscale. It was a lot nicer than TG&Y. You guys have probably heard of TG&Y, right? No. Okay. So on February 1st, 1960, a new tactic was added to the peaceful activist strategy. 4 African-American college students walked up to a whites-only lunch counter at the local Woolworth store in Greensboro, North Carolina, and asked for coffee. When service was refused, the students sat patiently. Despite threats and intimidation, the students sat quietly and waited to be served. So Woolworths was one of those stores that was a whites only store. So do you think they were being treated well? No. That sentence says, despite threats and intimidation. So who do you think was threatening those 4 students? White who? Salespeople. Who else? Customers. And it also says they were acting how? They were sitting quietly and waiting to be served. It says in the first sentence, peaceful strategy. So they're being polite. They're being peaceful. They're being quiet. Let's keep reading. No one participated in a sit-in of this sort without seriousness of purpose. So they weren't there to be funny. They had a reason to be there. Protesters were protesting segregation, and their instructions were simple. Sit quietly and wait to be served. Often the participants would be jeered and threatened by local customers. What do you think the word jeered means? Has anybody ever heard the word jester?
No.
You have? What's a jester?
They depends on what kind of dress they're talking about. I said, like, amazing. Are you talking about a dress that like you're trying to get yourself? I guess
Melanie, what you know about a jester?
they're usually in castles, like they have things like laugh or something like that.
Yes, it would be a silly person, a clown, like a king's clown. Okay, so to jeer means to make fun of. Okay, it says often the participants would be jeered, so they'd be mocked. People would laugh at them and mock them and do things to them. Oh, weird. Okay, and threatened by local customers. Sometimes they would be pelted with food or ketchup. Angry onlookers tried to provoke fights that never came. So other people, customers, would try to get the college students to fight them. Would the college students fight them back? No, that's why they said the fights never came. In the event of a physical attack, the student would curl up into a ball on the floor and take the punishment. Why? Why wouldn't they hit back? What was the first sentence of this whole paragraph, of this whole thing? What was their strategy? Peaceful strategy. So who was the one that was getting angry? White people. They were trying to show that they were peaceful, that they were always peaceful. Okay, so their strategy was peaceful. Okay, angry onlookers tried to provoke fights. The student would curl into a ball on the floor, take the punishment. Any violent reprisal would undermine the spirit of the sit-in. When the local police came to arrest the demonstrators, another line of students would take the vacated seats. Sit-in organizers believed that if the violence were only on the part of the white community, the world would see the righteousness of their cause. Before the end of the school year, over 1,500 Black demonstrators were arrested, but their sacrifice brought results. Slowly but surely, restaurants throughout the South began to abandon their policies of segregation. So, did their peaceful activism work?
Yes.
Yes. These sit-ins sparked more grassroots protests, with organizers creating future sit-ins in various states, wait-ins at segregated swimming pools, and pray-ins at white-only churches. These sit-ins were so successful that they led to even more protests against segregation laws. Okay. So going back to your worksheet, write what you think the purpose of the lunch counter sit-ins were. And then write the importance of them. Okay, I'm going to let you do this on your own.
Okay, who's still answering one of those two blocks? Okay,
Hold on a second.
okay. Let me help you out a little bit on the importance of the lunch counter sit-ins. Was it important that these sit-ins led to more protests against the segregation laws? So do you think you'd write that as the importance? That the lunch counter sit-ins led to more sit-ins that helped push back against segregation? Well, the fact that these lunch counter sit-ins, that one at Woolworth in particular, which took place in New Orleans. It doesn't say it in that article, but we're gonna read one just more specific when we take our test. That particular one was in New Orleans. That sit-in at Woolworth led to more sit-ins across the South. And those sit-ins were all pushing back against segregation. And that's important, is it not? I'm finally getting my attendance done. All right, are we ready to go to the third article? Who's still writing this one? Everybody's done with this one?
Okay. Major protest text source 3. This one's going to be the March on Washington. A lot of people in the Washington Mall, isn't it? There's a lot, right? Okay. Pretty cool photo, right? That is a lot of people. March on Washington for jobs and freedom. Speakers look a little different these days, don't they? That is the obelisk that's at the end of the Washington Monument. That is a speaker. That is an umbrella, and that's what his speech. Okay, the March on Washington was a massive protest march that occurred in August 1963 when some 250,000, so 250,000 people, gathered in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Also known as the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, the event aimed to draw attention to continuing challenges and inequalities faced by African Americans a century after emancipation. Anybody know what the word emancipation means? Freedom. So a century after enslaved people were free, they were not free in a lot of ways. In 1963, in the wake of violent attacks on civil rights demonstrators in Birmingham, Alabama, momentum built for another mass protest on the nation's capital. The purpose of this protest was to bring light to the fact that African Americans were not being treated fairly. African Americans wanted fair treatment, freedom, and equal opportunities for all. At this march, Dr. Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Though his speech was scheduled to be 4 minutes long, he ended up speaking for 16 minutes in what would become one of his most famous orations of the civil rights movement and of human history. In his speech, he stated, "I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Okay, so think about what the purpose of the March on Washington was. Find the purpose. I'm trying to help you out. Okay. And then the importance. I would give you a big hint. That first sentence of that last paragraph. That first sentence of the last paragraph. You know, pretty important. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's a pretty important speech. That first sentence. It's an important sentence.
it when you're done. You need to wash your hands, go wash your hands. Your nose running? Okay, there's air in our water line. Yeah.
I finished.
Awesome. Hit submit when you're done. I'm going to actually read a book to the class because we still have another 20 minutes to go. It's entitled Meet Rosa Parks, and it's an AR book.
Okay.
Remember to make your box small enough in one of your files that I can submit feedback on your work. Okay?
Move to this dripping bow we put in our hair out unless there's feathers in it. There's feathers, she's golden. Especially if it comes out of my hair drawers. She really likes those. All right, who is still writing?
Oh, no, you doing?
All right, I'm gonna give you one more minute, guys, and then you guys can keep on working. But I'm gonna switch off of this view so that my friends can see this that I read, okay? Let's meet Rosa Parks, okay?
That's what we're supposed to do.
All right. This one not only talks about Rosa Parks, but it talks about civil rights movement. It's got a lot of really good information, okay? And FYI, you're not going to catch COVID from me. I've had both my vaccines, fully vaccinated. On Benadryl, Claritin, and now Flonase. I have horrible allergies.
I saw a person who said that people are always like, and this is wearing masks.
Yeah, in Texas, they're not wearing masks. We went to Tyler Zoo Saturday, and there had to be like 10,000 people there. Crazy crowded, and no one's wearing masks.
Yesterday,
And I'm looking around going, I'm vaccinated, but Craig, you're not. And he said, yeah, I don't care.
we went to Gator
Craig hates a mask.
yesterday, no one.
And you had to pre-book your tickets. That's why I was like, what's the point of pre-booking tickets if there's 10,000 people here?
Never stayed around those is dumb masks.
Oh, this nasal spray is nasty.
Some people think that if they get the vaccine, you can't get corona.
You got a 5% chance to get it. Yeah. Some of these taste bad. Blech. Okay, stop share. Image mate. Got it first time. Yay. Oh, terrible glare. Oh, okay, there we go. Meet Rosa Parks. Okay. This was the book that was discontinued, so I got it in my classroom. Miss McLaughlin is always great giving me old books that were discontinued. Okay. Rosa Parks helped change many lives. Her hard work led to peace and equality for many African Americans. In December 1955, Rosa Parks was riding the bus home from work. When the bus driver told her to give her seat to a white man, Rosa Parks said no. She was tired of being treated unfairly because she was Black. She believed she had the same right to sit down as the white man did. I want to remind you, the bus driver asked 3 people to get up. 2 people did. So let's be real. Was there a seat available for that person to sit down already? There was. There certainly was. So let's be realistic. Yeah, there was already a seat there. I'm just being realistic, guys. Parks' choice to stand up for her rights was an important moment in the United States history. It marked the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was a period of time when people worked toward getting equal rights for African Americans. Going to school. Rosa McCauley was born on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. At a young age, she moved and grew up on her grandparents' farm in Pine Level, Alabama. The first school Rosa attended was for Black people. Look at this picture. Crowded, isn't it? It was a one-room schoolhouse. At that time, African Americans and whites could not go to the same school. This was because of segregation. Unlike white children, Black children went to school 5 months a year. So tell me, if your school time was moved to 5 months, did you learn as much?
No.
I mean, think about it. If your school day, instead of being 7 hours, y'all are here for 7 hours, but a lot of your school day isn't actually time spent with curriculum. It's enrichment, it's going to the restroom, it's lunch, it's recess, it's RTI, it's other time. If you spent your whole day trying to learn, would you actually be learning the whole time?
No.
You'd be zoning out, wouldn't you? So if all your time was squished into a 5-month period, and they said, oh, but you're doing all your learning because you just have a longer days. And you're just doing it in a much shorter time period of the year, would you actually be learning the same amount? No, not at all. Correct. Tree Vine is a year-round school. They only have 6 weeks off during the summer, and they have these, it's called intercession. They have these camps. I think it's 3 times during the year. So they have a shorter summer break, and parents can pay. It's a very small fee. I think it's $30. Colby went to school there to do intercession camp, and it's like field trips every day for intercession camp. It's really fun. And
even though it's year-round school, our other kids went to different schools, traditional school year schedule. So Colby had different schedule for me. I was teaching here and he would be out different times of year for me. He learned more. He retained more because he was in school almost year round. He didn't have that long 2-month break. And, you know, compared to other kids, he didn't get that long summer break, but he retained more. Colby was special ed, now he's gifted. And I have to think part of that is because he didn't have that summer slide, as they call it. And kids can opt in or opt out into that intercession camp. They get 3 of those breaks during the year where they get 2 weeks out, in addition to our breaks that we get out. Pretty cool, right? And like I said, you can pay that $30 to send your kid to the camp, intercession camp, and field trips every day. Like science field trips or art field trips, is whatever your kid's interested in. Colby's first year, I sent him with SPED class because he was with SPED class. And Colby, his SPED needs were very limited compared to other kids. He learned so much compassion dealing with kids who were severely profound needs. And so did Craig and I, because we went and helped out with them every day. It was really, really cool. I think it benefited him highly being with kids who had a lot of high needs. He got to hold all kinds of cool animals and stuff. Do you think they got field trips like that if they're only going to school 5 months a year?
Yeah.
No, they didn't get all those extra enrichment opportunities. Okay. So segregation, they had 2 different schools. Unlike white children, black children went to school 5 months a year. They had to work on farms the rest of the year. After age 11, Rosa went to school in Montgomery, Alabama. She left high school at 16 to take care of her sick grandmother. Did these kids have adequate space to even write?
No.
No. And look, 2 books on that whole front row for all those children to share. Does that look like a very good education from the looks? How crowded they are.
The kids on the left all have nowhere to sit.
They're standing. Very crowded. Jim Crow South. Now, what is Jim Crow the name for again? The laws that were the segregation that went on where they separated people according to their skin color, right? Okay, so colored. That was a sign to demonstrate that this was a water fountain that people with dark skin could use. This African-American boy is drinking from a water fountain that only Black people could use. This is very common in the South during segregation. During the first half of Parks's life, people in the South were segregated because of the Jim Crow laws. These laws said that whites and Blacks should be kept apart but treated the same. Sadly, this did not happen. Whites treated many Black people unfairly. Under Jim Crow laws, African Americans could not vote. Blacks and whites had to go to different schools. They had different bathrooms in public places. African Americans had to sit in the back row of public buses. If a bus was full, drivers made Blacks give up their seats to whites and ride standing up. The Ku Klux Klan, or KKK, is a group of white men who are against African American equality. The KKK used to wear white sheets so people would not know who they were. They burned crosses in front of African Americans' homes. Sometimes they beat up Blacks and burned up churches. This man is visiting the Freedom Train during its first year in 1947. The Freedom Train helped many Blacks see that they should have the same rights as white people. The Freedom Train was a real train that traveled around the country. The people on the train taught visitors about the rights they had as Americans. Working for equal rights. In 1932, Rosa married Raymond Parks and moved to Montgomery, Alabama. She went back to high school and finished 2 years later. So that was after she got married. This was important because at that time, only 7 out of 100 African Americans finished high school. 7 out of 100 African Americans finished high school then. So after she got married, I'm guessing through encouragement with her husband or from her husband, she went back to high school and finished. That's a really strong marriage, isn't it? Rosa Parks wanted to change the way African Americans were treated. In 1943, so 11 years after she got married, she joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. The NAACP worked to get equal rights for Blacks. Rosa began working there. She helped Blacks sign up to vote and took children to see the Freedom Train. The Black part of the bus was generally in the back or middle, where Parks, right, is sitting. Sometimes Blacks were not even allowed to use the front door. See, here's another door in the middle to the back of the bus. And sometimes they'd have the front door that white people could enter, and then the middle or the back of the bus where Black people could enter. They couldn't even use the same doors to enter the bus. On December 1st, 1955, Parks left work and got on the bus to go home. She sat in the area for Blacks. Actually, it was a mixed area in the middle. After the bus filled up, a white man was left standing. The bus driver told Parks to get up so the white man could sit. Bus drivers were not supposed to make riders sitting in the Black section move when there were no other empty seats. Most drivers did not follow this rule, though. Parks felt that this was wrong. Parks refused to move out of her seat. She felt she should be able to sit down too. The bus driver got angry. He called the police, who came and arrested Parks. It is very. Martin Luther King Jr., shown here, is planning the bus boycott with Rosa Parks and other leaders in 1956. So this is obviously when he was young. This is when he's starting to become a leader. When Blacks in Montgomery heard about Parks's arrest, they protested against it. Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights leader, asked them to boycott the bus company. This meant they would not ride the city buses and the company would lose a lot of money. King hoped that a peaceful boycott would make the company stop practicing segregation. Many African Americans in Montgomery did not ride the buses for a year. They shared rides or walked to work. This was hard on many of them. Some had to walk 12 miles. Finally, the government forced the bus company to end segregation. This was a great accomplishment. Can you imagine walking 12 miles every day to work and home after working? And if you had children, or if you're elderly, or you had health issues, that's farther than it is for me to my house, from here to my house. Blacks in Detroit were tired of being treated poorly. Look at this. They started a riot in 1967. This means they destroyed parts of the city out of anger. This is in Detroit, so this is up north. Many people in Montgomery blamed Rosa for the bus boycott. She and her husband lost their jobs. Some people even said they wanted to hurt or kill her. Rosa and Raymond decided to move north to Detroit, Michigan in 1957. They believed they would be safer there. In 1965, Parks went to work for an African American named John Conyers Jr. He was a civil rights leader and worked for the U.S. government. Parks and Conyers did great things together. They worked to get housing for poor African Americans throughout the city. Parks worked in Conyers' office until 1988. So they worked together for 23 years. This is in Memphis. Oh, no, this one is in Dearborn, Michigan, but they have a similar one in Memphis too. This is school children visiting a bus on which Rosa Parks stood up for her rights. It's located at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. Raymond Parks, who her husband, died in 1977. To honor him, Rosa started the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development. The Institute teaches young African Americans how they can help others in their neighborhoods and cities. One of the parks Institute runs is called Pathways to Freedom. It sends high school students on bus trips. They go to places that are important to African American history and the civil rights movement. The students learn about the hard and unsafe work that many people did to help African Americans gain equal rights and their freedom from slavery.
From the 1600s to the 1800s, slavery existed in the United States. This means that some white people owned black people and forced them to work for no pay. Some brave people helped slaves escape by feeding and hiding them. This was called the Underground Railroad. Here's Rosa in 1997. She was given the Lifetime Achievement Award by the American Public Transit Association. During her life, Parks received many awards for her work for civil rights and peace. She was given 2 of the United States' highest honors. In 1996, she received the Medal of Freedom. 3 years later, Parks received the Congressional Gold Medal, so in 1999. Only 250 people have ever been given this award. These awards show how important Parks was to African American history and the civil rights movement. If Parks had not stood up for her rights that day on the bus, segregation may not have ended so soon. Parks died in Detroit on October 24th, 2005, at the age of 92. She was taken to Montgomery, Alabama, where a special church service was held for her. Afterward, Parks was taken to the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Thousands of people passed by her casket to honor her. She was buried beside her husband in Detroit. Parks is often called the mother of the civil rights movement. She fought against unfair laws and helped end segregation in the South. Today, the Parks Institute teaches young people about the importance of her work in the civil rights movement. Okay. Those of you who come back for RTI, you can quiz on this. And then your math RTI is going to be Zern. Okay. Bye, Megan.
Bye.